Welcome. Today in this session, we shall be taking a step ahead of the features of the creative domain. Our focus is to remain in this session upon the transcendental origin. The fourth fold of hypercube 4 is the transcendental origin. Hypercube 4 is a fourfold manifestation layer. Its first fold is dimension fold. It is of spatial order. Second fold is boundary fold, and it is of a solid boundary of 8 components. Third fold is the domain fold, and it is creative domain. And fourth fold is the origin fold. It is transcendental origin. The transcendental origin itself as 5-space content manifests as 5-space content lump domain of hypercube 5. Hypercube 5 is a fourfold manifestation layer in 4-space, and within 4-space, hypercube of 5 as fourfold manifestation layer is of a solid order. 3-space plays the role of dimension of 5-space. 4-space plays the role of a creative boundary of 10 components. And the domain fold is 5-space. 5-space content lump plays the role of a 5-space domain, and 5-space domain is having self-referral origin. 6-space is playing the role of origin of a 5-space. Today, we are focusing upon the transcendental origin of 4-space. 4-space is presided by Lord Brahma. 5-space is presided by Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma is a 4-headed Lord. Lord Shiva is a 5-headed Lord. The idol of Lord Brahma provides the format for manifestation of different dimensional spaces bodies within 4-space. Hypercube 4, the representative regular body of 4-space as well, manifests within 4-space along the format of idol of Lord Brahma. It is in this background that today we shall be visiting the origin fold of hypercube 4. It is the fourth fold, and it is a transcendental origin as 5-space is playing the role of origin. Now, the creative boundary of transcendental domain is of 10 components. The domain boundary ratio of hypercube 5 is a raised to power 5 is to 10 b raised to power 4. As many as 10 creative domains, 4-space domains, together manifest the creative boundary of transcendental domain. It is of 10 components. The transition for 4-space domain from its role as a domain fold to that of boundary of 5-space is a fundamental transcendental step which is to be comprehended by us. Sadkhas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to glimpse and imbibe this transcendental phenomenon of 4-space as domain, transiting and transforming in the role of creative boundary of 10 components. Lord Brahma, creator the Supreme himself as well, meditates within the cavity of his own heart at the seat of the Transcendental Lord and it is with the grace of the Transcendental Lord that Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. It is this phenomenon, it is this feature which is the initiation point of the Vedic systems. Vedic systems are organizing knowledge of transcendence at the origin fold of the manifested creations. Initiation point, Adi, the initial point, the formulation Adi is of simple natural meaning as the beginning, as the starting point. Therefore, for having comprehension of this system, we have to begin from the very beginning, and it would mean that we have to begin with the formulation Adi. The formulation Adi is of TC value 10. Let us have a pause. Let us be blissfully with the transcendental phenomenon of Lord Brahma meditating within cavity of his own heart, and with the grace of Transcendental Lord, Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas in Shiv Lok. This amounts to a transition for four-space domain from its domain fold role to the boundary fold role in five space. Therefore, the beginning is the transition of four-space domain from its role of a domain fold to the role of a boundary of a five space. Therefore, the beginning, the Adi, the starting point, the initiation point, the initial point is of value 10. TCV value of the formulation Adi is 10. Adi means the beginning. Adi means initiation. Adi means the initial state. Adi means the initial initiation phase and stage for transition to be in five space. Entire manifested creations are within four space. The Vedic systems take to the transcendental domain a five space. Vedic mathematics, Vedic sciences, Vedic systems, Vedic sciences, Vedic technologies are the mathematics, sciences, technologies of a five space. The beginning within five space is at its boundary. The boundary of the five space, the transcendental domain, is the creative boundary. It is of 10 components. The formulation Adi with simple rendering as beginning, as initiation, as starting point is accepting value 10 as TC value parallel with the creative boundary of transcendental domain itself being of 10 components. Sadhakas are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems shall draw a table of all 10 folds of the TC value of the formulation Adi. On the computer screen is the tabulation of all these 10 folds, and these values are tabulated in column 2 as 1, 2, 3, 10, 5, then 70, 42, 34, 80, and 170. The summation value, the grand summation value is 417. See, it is 34 more than 383. Value 383 is 283 plus 100. Value 383 is the value of the TCV values of all 50 letters of Devanagari alphabet together with the formulation Devanagari Varnamala itself. Therefore, the beginning here is to be from the takeoff for the Devanagari alphabet, Devanagari Varnamala of its 50 letters, of its complete TC value 383, which with the transcendental attainment of the order of hypercube 9, Nav Brahm. So Devanagari Varnamala as the alphabet to be formatted for the attainment of Nav Brahm hypercube 9, value 34, 383 plus 34 is 417. All 10 folds of TC value 10 of formulation Adi is 417. Value 417 is 34 more than 383. Value 34 is the TC is the summation value of 4 folds of hypercube 9, the representative regular body of a 9 space. So this initiation, this beginning, as with formulation Adi of TC value 10, parallel with the creative boundary of 10 components of hypercube 5, is going to be of the order of the attainment of Nav Brahm hypercube 9 with the help of the Devanagari alphabet. Devanagari alphabet as such is of potentialities which with its beginning at the creative boundary of the transcendental domain will be of the order of attainment of Nav Brahm. So this initiation is going to be of the attainment of Nav Brahm, Brahman domain, 9 space domain, hypercube 9, fourfold manifestation layer of hypercube 9 is of value 34. The sadhkas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems, to be parallel with Vedic systems, to be of the order of the Brahman domain, shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to glimpse the 10 internal folds of formulation Adi of TC value 10. And once one will be parallel with these internal 10 folds of formulation Adi, one will be blissfully on the proper initiation path. Once we are on this path, then we shall be imbibing fully as that the hypercube 4, the representative regular body of 4 space, is a 4 space content domain within a solid boundary of 8 components. A step ahead, the transcendental domain is within a creative boundary of 10 components. As such, the transition from 4 space to 5 space along the format of hypercube 4 to hypercube 5 as such is going to be a transition from the solid boundary of 8 components to creative boundary of 10 components. It is this initiation which brings us face to face with the pair of values 8 and 10. Now this pair of values 8 and 10 take us to formulation ek, and thus the formulation ek is of TC value 8 and formulation thus is of TC value 10. Therefore, the sadhakas initiating themselves for being parallel with Vedic systems are proceeding in terms of the Devanagari alphabet formulations of Sthapatya geometric base. This will further bring us face to face with, as that the value 10, 1, 0 constitutes a reflection pair with number value 0, 1. It is this reflection pair feature of value 10 with value 1 as double digit system is going to settle the initiation for coordination, for correlation of the 16 Ganita Sutras with 18 yoga disciplines of Geeta. One may have a pause here and take note that value 16 and value 18 together make a summation value 34 parallel with the summation value of four folds of hypercube 9. Therefore, this correlation is a correlation of attainment of now Brahman domain, 9 space domain, hypercube 9 format. And this hypercube 9 format is providing correlation for 16 Ganita Sutras and 18 yoga disciplines of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Sadkhas are fulfilled with intensity effort to be parallel with Vedic systems and its Vedic mathematical base shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to continuously remain in prolonged sitting of trance, to properly comprehend and to fully imbibe these features of formulations pair ek and thus numbers values 8 and 10, reflection pair of 10 and 0, 1 as double digit systems, and the solid boundary of 8 components of hypercube 4 and creative boundary of 10 components of hypercube of 5. These all features are simultaneously at work, and it is in terms of these features that there is a settlement of the correlation table. This table on the computer screen is the core, is the center, is the basic foundational structural tabulation. One shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to continuously remain in prolonged sitting of trance and to have a sequential 16 steps of correlation. One may be blissfully recapitulating as that the first Ganita Sutra, Eka Adhikain Purvain, is a complete scripture of pair of formulation Ekadhikain of 9 letters composition and Purvain of 7 letters composition. So this correlation of 16 Ganita Sutras with 18 disciplines of yoga of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is of two parts. The first part is of 7 steps parallel with 7 letters of the text of formulation Purve, and second part is of 9 steps parallel with the 9 letters of the second part of the text of first Ganita Sutra, namely Ekadhikain. Let us now visit the first part of the table. This table is of 7 steps. Sutras 10 to 16 are being correlated with the respective chapters of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The first initiation step is of values pair 10 and 0, 1. Ek, Das, Adi, the creative boundary of the transcendental domain. The beginning is with the creative boundary of 10 components of transcendental domain. So this value is a pair 10 and 0, 1 as such brings to focus the correlation of Ganita Sutra 10 and Gita chapter 1. A step ahead, The values 11 and 2, 12 and 3 coordinate, correlate Ganita Sutra 11 with chapter 2 and Ganita Sutra 12 with chapter 3. Step ahead, the values pair 13 and 4 leads to coordination of Sutra 13 with chapter 4 and Sutra 14 with chapter 14. This is a feature which deserves to be chased, deserves to be imbibed. And the second part of the table is a coordination of values pair 1 and 3 parallel with one space having 3 geometries range, 2 and 5, 2 spaces having 5 geometries range, and so on. This coordination of 16 sutras with 16 chapters of Srimad Bhagavad Gita bring in focus the remaining two chapters, namely chapter 8 and chapter 10 of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Let us sit comfortably and recapitulate that our initiation format is of transition from the solid boundary of 8 components to the creative boundary of 10 components. So this being the format along which the correlation is manifesting, as such, these two values, namely 8 and 10, and parallel to them, chapter 8 and chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, take us to the base of this correlation, base of the mathematical domain of sutras, and base of the spiritual values of the yoga disciplines. Chapter 8 is Akshar Brahma Yoga, while chapter 10 is a Vibhuti Yoga. The Akshar Brahma Yoga, the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, is raising and answering 8 basic questions. And chapter 10 of Vibhuti Yoga is specifically enlisting the creative order of the transcendental domain. The shlokas 21 to 38 list these specific transcendental domain whose core is of a creative dimensional order. And shlokas 1 and 2 of chapter 8 raise the basic creative mathematical domain questions which are answered in the transcendental domain. We shall be coming to these aspects for their detailed analysis. In fact, all these initiation steps may be taken as the preliminary steps, and in the background of these preliminary lessons, we shall be entering formally, we will be entering the Vedic mathematical domain of Ganita Sutras and the transcendental values of the yoga disciplines of Gita. This initiation is for the creative order and the transcendental order. The transition and transformation from creative order to the transcendental order. The pure and applied values of Ganita Sutras go parallel with the values of the yoga discipline of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 8 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the base of the pure and applied values of 16 Ganita Sutras. Chapter 10 Vibhuti Yoga of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the base of the transcendental basis for the self-referral values of the disciplines of yoga. Let us sit comfortably, let us revisit all these lessons, and let us blissfully initiate ourselves for formal visit of the Vedic mathematical domain to begin from the next session. Thank you very much.